Hi, this is Josh Nankivell. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that I came across just recently here. If you know me, then you probably know that I've talked about multitasking and the evils of multitasking in the past. So, I was having coffee with a friend the other day, and they brought this up because they had, in the past, we'd had a conversation where they talked about how they were good at multitasking, and I had brought up how I had seen research in the past that talked about how people who said they were good at multitasking were really actually worse than people who admitted that they were not good at multitasking. So, and that in general, multitasking is not a good idea for performance purposes and attention, focus, all those kinds of things. So, this new study came out, and so I was having coffee with this person last week, and they brought this study up and said, hey, there's a study that came out that I saw, and it said that there are people called supertaskers that don't have any kind of a performance detriment when they're multitasking. So I want to talk about that and dig into it a little bit here. So the first question, do supertaskers exist? So the University of Utah did this study and showed that 2.5% of the around 200 people that they had in the study, students, did not suffer performance issues when they had simulated driving plus a hands-free audio testing protocol. And if you're interested, there's the Time article right here. If you go to bit.ly/supertaskers, it'll bring you right to the Time article, and bit.ly/supertaskers study will bring you to the PDF of the study. So let's dig into it just a little bit here. So from the study, this study is mostly looking at a specific situation where you're driving and talking on a cell phone. That's really what they're getting at here. But and it's hard to generalize to other things, but it's good information for sure. So some of the things that I highlighted here, despite the overwhelming evidence that multitasking impairs driving, large segments of the population regularly engage in these activities. And they've encountered a great many people who adamantly claim that they're not impaired when they use a cell phone while driving, although they readily admit that they've seen others who drive erratically. So it's kind of those, it's a problem for the other people, not for me. We've suggested that inattention blindness associated with cell phone conversations makes these drivers unaware of their own driving impairments. And we'll get to that in just a little bit. We'll touch on that again. And there's a general tendency of many to believe that their driving performance is above the average, the Lake Wobegon effect. So a few things in here. One of the key things that I want to get across in this video is that self-report data, when you take a look at yourself and you say, I'm in that 2.5% of people, it's really this inattention blindness that they're talking about is a real thing. And regardless of where in your life or your professional life you're looking, this is a real thing, and you need to be aware of it. So, in general, this study showed a few things here. So, this is the group performance, and they did the driving measures, and then OSPAN is the testing protocol that they used. It was essentially a hands-free audio format, and it was remembering. You had to memorize a series of words, but they would throw simple math problems into the middle of them and test you to see how well you did on the math performance, the memory performance, and your brake time, your brake reaction time in the simulated driving conditions, and your following distance as well. So you can see that with single task, the performance was much better on everything, and with the dual tasks, trying to do both at once, you had this dip in performance on everything. Okay, and this is for the group. Now these supertaskers that they found, what they really found is that on the driving, there was no change whatsoever in brake reaction time or following distance time from when they were doing just the single task, so just driving, versus driving and doing the OSPAN measures. And on the memory performance and the math performance, you can see a slight increase here. Alright, So a few things that I want to point out. So whether or not this study, I do have a few potential questions or issues with this study in terms of the individuals that they identified as supertaskers and what those people's backgrounds were. IQ, are they just maybe better at the memory and math part of it, and so it didn't distract them from the activity, the executive activity of driving the vehicle as much because it's more natural for them. So that could be one possible thing that I don't think that they ruled out well. So you would need further studies to really identify if this supertasker thing is really a true phenomenon and if there are some people there. But let's just assume for the moment that the study is correct, that there's nothing wrong with it, and that what it's saying is true. And if there were future studies, that they would validate this finding. Really what I want to get across in this video is to not fall prey to that Lake Wobegon effect. So 2.5% of people, let's just say that that's true, are supertaskers and they don't have this degradation in performance. Well, that means that the vast majority of people, 97.5%, still do have a significant performance degradation when they're trying to do multiple things at once. So don't fall prey to that, and due to that self-report bias, there's no credible way for you to know if you're a supertasker, even if they do exist, without a properly controlled study, because everyone thinks that they're above average. It's the Lake Wobegon effect. So I would venture to say that over half of the people who are probably watching this video right now may be thinking of ways that maybe things in your past where you think of individual circumstances that make you think that you might be in that 2.5%. Well, that's confirmation bias is what that's called. So essentially, you remember the hits and you forget the misses. So you remember the things that make you think that you are in that 2.5% and forget about the things that would indicate that you're not in that 2.5%, or you just don't notice those things. So these are just it's kind of some critical thinking type information, but I wanted to bring this up because whenever the media reports on a study, they tend to kind of I don't know, just kind of blow it out of proportion. You can take this study and then you just think that that's the gospel truth, and so you start going in that direction, but you really need to take everything with a grain of salt and realize that there are a lot of bad studies out there too. This seems to be a fairly well done study from what I can tell from reading the full study, but there are a lot of really bad studies out there as well. And in the study, if you read it, you will see that the performance draining impact of multitasking is well established. They reference a lot of other studies that show that this is a problem. And if you're interested in more, some things that I've written in the past on multitasking specific to project management, there's so the bit.ly, and I set up a project dash multitasking, and then 1, 2, and 3. Those are 4 different blog posts that I've written in the past on the topic of multitasking. A few of them reference other studies that I've looked at in the past as well. So my question to you now is, do you think that you're a supertasker? And if so, why? And just in general, what did you think about this video and the study?